We are just a few short hours away from the testimony of the century. Former special counsel Robert Mueller will appear on Capitol Hill today in front of the House Judiciary Committee to testify about his report on Russian interference in the 2016 election. There's actually two committees today. But as both sides of the aisle are getting ready for the show, the question remains, are these hearings really going to be about the law or the report, or is this really just a chance for Democrats to smear the president? Let's bring in Attorney and Director of Public Policy for the James Dobson Family Institute, Jenna Rives, along with Democratic strategist and former Virginia Deputy Attorney General Stephen Cobb. Guys, good morning.
Thanks so much for having us.
Good morning.
Yeah, Jenna, first to you. And I want to point out to something that President Trump just asserted overnight. He basically, well, as actually was yesterday, he was at the Turning Point USA rally. And he basically is saying that, look, his past actions did not amount to obstruction, given the executive power he's afforded under Article 2 of the Constitution. He made those comments yesterday. You're a constitutional lawyer. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget that the 448-page report showed absolutely no evidence of collusion or obstruction. The legal questions here have been asked and answered. So everything that's going to happen today is nothing more than political theater. And there's definitely in the Democrats' mind a difference between the legal outcome versus the political outcome. They're going to try to renew their calls for impeachment after today because this is going to just be kabuki theater where they're going to ask Robert Mueller essentially to go through his whole entire report just for political story time, and they're going to try to do this as an attack on President Trump when we already know the conclusions from a 448-page report, a 2.5-year investigation. There is nothing new that's going to come out of this, especially with the DOJ telling Mueller you have to stay within the parameters of the report.
Well, but Stephen, you know, the question still does remain, though. What about the folks that have not been indicted? Is there going to be jeopardy today in these hearings from Robert Mueller for maybe, say, some of the children of Donald Trump, for those that were part of the campaign that have not been named? I mean, is there concern that that's going to come out?
Well, I think there's two important points from that analysis that I think are at best inaccurate. One of them is that the finding under the conspiracy wasn't that there were not improper collusion with the Russians, but there wasn't the necessary intent in order for it to raise to a level of criminality. Second, when it comes to the issues of obstruction, Mueller was very clear that because it was the Justice Department's policy position not to indict a sitting president, that he wasn't going to refer that for prosecution. Not that there wasn't sufficient evidence for a criminal charge. And so I expect
that's not what the Attorney General said, though. Let's be clear on that.
That is what the Attorney General said. And that is what Mueller said. He said he declined to make a prosecutorial reference because it would not be fair to the focus point of that, because they wouldn't have the opportunity to clear their name.
But I think, Jenna, to the point that you were trying to make there is that, look, when he gave that press conference back on May 29th, Mueller did. I mean, he said if we would have found obstruction of justice, we would have said so. That would have been in the report. He was very clear about that one statement.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. And also the Attorney General and the DOJ, which let's not forget that Mueller reports to the Attorney General, they specifically said that it was not contemplated whether or not the open constitutional question of indicting a sitting president, that wasn't factored into their legal analysis here.
Or Stephen,
but that's actually not what they said. What they said was, had they cleared the president, they would have said that he was cleared, but they were not clearing anybody. It's not the contrapositive of that.
But again,
well,
to
no,
my earlier
they said
point
about exoneration.
Okay, real quick, I don't have a lot of time left, but Stephen, I do want to ask you really quick. What do you make of the fact that he's bringing his chief of staff and that he's been sworn in, the chief of staff?
Well, he's bringing his lawyer, and most people who testify in front of congressional committees choose to bring their lawyer. I think it was an odd request from the Republican Minority Committee to ask that he be sworn. To my understanding, there's been no indication that he is planning to give testimony. He's there as the counsel to Mueller, which is completely normal.
And he was involved in the investigation, so maybe he's just a backstop at the end of the day. Of course, the conspiracy theorists are telling you something else. So, Jenna Rives, Stephen Cobb, we'll be watching today, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks so much for having
guys.
us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks.